Yo, how's it going everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and welcome to another review of the Pokemon Journey series. We're covering episode 123 in today's review, and it's part 1 of Ash vs. Cynthia. So how was the episode? Well, before I get on the review, I just want to say if you guys are new to the channel, you like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It'd be pretty awesome if you do that. I do live streams, and I do these episode reviews along with episode discussions for future episodes. Anyways, I think we should talk about this episode now. Alrighty, we start the battle off with Ash taking out his Dragonite, whereas Cynthia takes out Spiritomb. And yeah, this part of the battle doesn't last long at all, as Dragonite does get Draco Meteor to seemingly do maybe a little bit of damage. It doesn't look like it got a direct hit on Spiritomb, but it does look like it did connect slightly. I don't know. We'll just say it did, because yeah, Spiritomb basically puts Dragonite to sleep and just uses Dream Eater repeatedly until it faints. I'm not kidding. That's how Dragonite loses here, so yeah, Dragonite is out, so Ash is the first one to lose a Pokemon. Next up, Ash takes out his Gengar, and Cynthia recalls Spiritomb and takes out Roserade. And it seems like Cynthia's main purpose for taking out Roserade was just to inflict some damage on Gengar. But Gengar manages to burn Roserade, which will probably come back to haunt Cynthia later, but she ends up recalling Roserade and brings out Spiritomb again. And yeah, so it does seem like Roserade served its purpose because, yeah, Gengar clashes twice with Spiritomb and takes 2 direct hits, and yeah, that's enough to KO Gengar. And yeah, Ash has lost 2 Pokemon in a row, whereas Cynthia still hasn't lost a single Pokemon at this point. So Ash brings out his ace Pikachu, and Cynthia brings out Togekiss, and once again she's using her strategy of just inflicting damage on Ash's Pokemon and then recalling her Pokemon. As Pikachu is trying to shock Togekiss, and it just completely invades all of Pikachu's attacks. Kind of similar to how Metagross was invading all of Pikachu's attacks in the previous battle, so Cynthia was probably paying attention to that battle and decided to do the same thing to Ash. This time, seemingly working out her strategy, and she also had more Pokemon to depend on at this point, so she wasn't going to go down very easily. So yep, she recalls her Togekiss and then brings out Gastrodon. And yeah, Pikachu ends up eliminating this Pokemon. It's actually kind of interesting how he did it. Ash has Pikachu's Iron Tail on Gastrodon's Stone Edge and hits 2 rocks at Gastrodon. And it catches both of them, and that allows Pikachu to sneak in, get a quick attack, and KO it. So Ash actually manages to defeat one of Cynthia's Pokemon finally. So Cynthia once again takes out Spiritomb, and then we get the awesome scene of Pikachu using Counter Shield. And yeah, this Counter Shield is actually pretty busted, as it manages to nullify Hypnosis. But Spiritomb goes to lunge in, and that's when Pikachu uses Electro Web and takes it out. That is until we actually figure out that at the last second, Spiritomb used Destiny Bond on Pikachu. And as a result, both Pokemon faint, leaving Ash with only 3 Pokemon left and Cynthia with 4, as the episode comes to an end on a cliffhanger. So overall, I actually thought this was a pretty good episode. A major improvement over the previous episode. Doesn't take away from what happened in that episode, but this is more like it. This is a lot better in my opinion, and it's a solid start to the Ash vs. Cynthia battle. So, on the positive note, I like some of the strategies used in this battle, like Cynthia switching out her Pokemon, and using it to her advantage to weaken Ash's Pokemon and take them down individually. You know, take out a Pokemon, and take another Pokemon out, weaken it, and then so on and so forth. She did that with Roserade, she did that with Togekiss, and she did it with Spiritomb multiple times. And it was working in her favor, but also Ash was actually utilizing some interesting strategies of his own. Gengar manages to burn Roserade, which is definitely going to come back to haunt Cynthia later on in the battle. And then we have Pikachu using some pretty interesting strategies here, like the strategy to actually hit Rock Slide with Iron Tail to basically get Gastrodon to get caught off guard by that, and then get hit with a quick attack to take it out, which I thought was pretty cool. And then Counter Shield is also pretty awesome to see again. I like how it was a reference to Diamond and Pearl, and he's using it on Cynthia. I don't know, but that was pretty awesome. And for me, this actually feels like a tense Pokemon battle. Like, Ash is definitely the underdog here, but compared to other battles, he's at least seemingly holding his own. Seemingly doing pretty well against Cynthia, but also still struggling at the same time. So I felt like they found some balance here, where Ash is portrayed as the underdog, but at the same time, he's also holding his own, and actually surprising Cynthia here and there. So that's a good thing, because in other Journeys battles, Ash is just like the underdog for pretty much the majority of his battles, and then he just magically comes back at the end using one of his gimmicks. So to see that not happen in this episode, I think was pretty refreshing in my opinion. It just felt like there was a little bit more balance here. Also, Cynthia having Spiritomb take out Pikachu with Destiny Bond was brilliant in my opinion. It was a nice twist to end off this episode. Because you're like, oh yay, Ash is coming back, and then boom, Pikachu gets taken out like that. I don't know, but I think that was a pretty smart decision on the writer's part, so I'll give him some praise there. Plus, now it's actually pretty interesting that Ash has to rely on his non-Kanto mons. So these other Pokemon have to carry the rest of the battle, whereas Pikachu, Gengar, or Dragonite, popular Pokemon from the Kanto region, are out of commission, so he has to rely on his Pokemon from the other regions, well, 2 from Galar, 1 from Sinnoh, but you know what I mean. These Pokemon are the ones that have to carry his victory here, so I thought that was an interesting twist. So yeah, we get to see Sirfetch'd, Dragovich, and Lucario shine here for the rest of the battle. Specifically, I'm looking forward to seeing what Sirfetch'd and maybe what Dragovich does, but especially Sirfetch'd, because who doesn't like Sirfetch'd? That all being said, I don't think this is a perfect episode, and there are a couple of issues I do have with this episode in particular. Now, this doesn't affect the overall battle, because I think it's a solid start, but I do see a few issues here. First and foremost, I'm not a big fan of how Dragonite was taken out so easily. It actually kind of irks me a little bit, especially compared to like the rest of the battles. This one just felt like they wanted to get it out of the way and get, a quick, defeat in for Ash, so that he's just struggling right off the bat. I wasn't really a big fan of how it was handled, because it just felt really short and paced really fast. Like, it should have lasted maybe a little bit longer in my opinion, and Dragonite definitely jobbed here. Didn't really do much, and just got taken out in probably the worst way possible in my opinion. Getting taken out by Hypnosis and Dream Eater, and then Ash doesn't switch out Dragonite or do anything, and then it just gets taken out. I don't know, but I really wasn't a big fan of how that was handled. I also wasn't a big fan of how Gengar was taken out. It kind of reminded me of how Dragovich was taken out in the Steven battle, just not as bad, and at least Gengar served its purpose. It actually managed to land Will-O-Wisp on Roserade, which is going to do burn damage to it for the rest of the battle, so it served its purpose there. But man, I was hoping that Gengar would actually get at least one solid W in this battle. It technically got one in the Steven battle because its burn damage took down Aragon, but I kind of want another move besides burn damage to actually take out another Pokemon in the Masters 8 tournament. And so far we haven't seen that. Gengar's just been getting beaten up left and right. And yeah, I was hoping it would last longer and at least get one W, but it is what it is. At least it wasn't as bad as Dragonite. And at least Roserade is going to be feeling that burn in the next episode. And lastly, is it just me or was the animation kind of off in this episode? It wasn't the best in my opinion. The main animation highlight here is when Pikachu used Counter Shield. That was the best looking move in the entire battle. And that whole scene looked really great. But for the rest of the battle, it kind of felt stiff at times. That whole scene where Pikachu was shocking Togekiss. Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that ripped straight from the Steven battle when Pikachu was trying to shock Metagross and it couldn't land a hit? Because it seems like they just took that straight from that episode, and that's kind of bad considering that's the previous battle. And if they are reusing animation already, that is kind of not great. Kind of shows that they're still having some issues behind the scenes. And also, the one part of the episode where it kind of bothered me the most was when Pikachu used Iron Tail on Stone Edge to get the upper hand on Gastrodon. Yeah, that whole scene looked really awkward in my opinion. What I think they should have done is have Pikachu Iron Tail and Stone Edge. It hits Gastrodon and it gets knocked over. It tries to get back up and it takes the second hit. And that's when Pikachu goes in for a quick attack and Cynthia commands her Pokemon to use another move like Stone Edge or something like that. But before it can actually initiate the move, quick attack hits and takes it out. I don't know, but it didn't really feel super impactful. Again, the animation felt kind of stiff here. I felt like they could have done a lot more here, but at least we got Counter Shield. At least that scene looked good. But for the most part, this battle wasn't really an animation highlight. Alrighty guys, that's all I got for the episode review. So overall, it's a pretty solid start to Ash and Cynthia's battle. It does have a few flaws, but it's still solid enough. So hopefully the rest of the battle delivers. So for this episode, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. And the score for this episode is going to be dependent on how the rest of the battle goes. If it doesn't deliver, this could go down. If it does deliver, it could either stay the same or go up. But anyways, as of right now, the episode gets an 8 out of 10. So in the comment section down below, I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What are your thoughts on Ash vs. Cynthia so far? What are your predictions for the rest of the battle? Who's going down next? I'd like to hear it in the comment section down below. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And guys, have a great day or night wherever you're at, and I'll see you all later. Bye.